Welcome back to What Do You Say? My name's Andrew Termini. With me, as always, is my brother, your host, Frank T. If you like what we're doing out there, please go out, like, subscribe, leave us a review, and remember to turn on those notifications so you can be updated every time we upload some new content.
So we got a good one. This one's a very informative one.
This is very informative. And because of the nature of the topic, you figured you might be more of a listener.
Not smart enough to ask any questions.
So the topic's going to be about cryptocurrency. And
You ever been in a situation where you're kind of whispering to yourself, I'm not smart enough.
yeah,
I'm not smart enough.
more often than not.
Yeah, I literally am not smart enough to ask any questions at all on this topic.
Well, and that's commendable of you, because it shows that, hey, I'm willing to step aside when this isn't my lane.
And at the end of the day, what we may end up having to do is, after we go through it, then have him back on where I can actually ask some questions and have an intelligent conversation.
So the plan of it is we're going to have Tucker Sutton and Liahm Stranz on, and Tucker is the CFO of Because Bitcoin, and Liahm is one of their analysts. So they're both local guys who I, by happenstance, met them on X, and it was from something their CEO, Max, had said about investing, and he made a reference to faith. And for me, it was like, we always speak about faith on this podcast. It was one of those moments where I felt God nudging me in the right direction. And since I've been a part of the Because Bitcoin community, I recognize that faith is present, and the sense of a family is ingrained in there. And it's always kind of one of the things that all the members speak to is the family atmosphere of this group. And so it's going to be a great podcast. And I think it's going to be something great that you're going to enjoy listening to. And then I've scheduled with Max to get him on, the CEO. He actually lives in Minnesota. I'm going to do my best to see if, when he comes to Kansas City, to sit down with us.
And then that would be good, because then I could actually partake it.
Absolutely.
After I listen to this one. And then what we could even do, if we have to, we could Zoom them.
Yeah, we could do that too.
We could Zoom. I've seen some podcasts where they Zoom the guest in, and it works.
So they do something called Market Check every day, and there's a ton of listeners that tune in on X and on YouTube, and they do it over a Zoom. So I'll set that up with Max. I know he's already set up to do that, and I've already got a confirmation that he's willing to do it. So this is going to be really a two-part podcast, but this is going to be the baseline, and it's going to be good for everybody who doesn't know about cryptocurrency.
We've had series before.
Absolutely.
We've done it. We've done it with mental illness. We've done it with drug addiction. We've done it with trafficking. We've done it with where we've kind of went on series and attacked different facets of it. So,
and this is just going to be one of those about the new ways that we're going to see finance in the world move. Let's start off. I got Tucker Sutton from Because Bitcoin. He's the CFO of Because Bitcoin.
Yes, sir.
And a crypto hedge fund manager. I have a couple funds that you manage. Mm-hmm. And you went to KU.
That's right here, brother.
Yeah, he's representing hard KU.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, yeah.
Studied economics,
Yeah.
I mean, here, I'm not a KU fan. I'm not a KU fan. But
who do you like?
I grew up in Missouri.
Oh, Mizzou fan.
So I like MU.
Yeah, the cats eat the birds, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Clearly.
I don't know. You guys ran away to the SEC. I don't know.
And it's got to be really rough to be a KU football fan. I mean,
we're the best 5-7 team in the country.
That's right.
I mean, undeniable.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
And we also have Liahm. Is it Stranz or Stranz?
Stranz.
Okay,
Yeah.
I pronounced it right the first time when I was on the intro. And you went to Rutgers University.
Yep.
Studied data analytics.
Yes, sir. Yep.
You and I are both gold members of the Because Bitcoin family,
Yep.
and we'll kind of dig in and press in about what that's all about. But this is the first of its kind for us. We've never talked about cryptocurrency. Probably a lot of our listeners don't even know that I'm an investor in the markets. So I'm going to give a little bit of background of what's happened in 2024 to kind of set the stage, and then we'll kind of just dive in.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin ETF launches January 11th, 2024. Ethereum ETF launches July 23rd, 2024. So now we have two currencies, cryptocurrencies that can be traded on, SEC approved to be traded. At the July Bitcoin conference, Trump promises a crypto-friendly administration. Shortly after, Trump media files for a TruthFi trademark, a crypto payment and trading platform. And then on November 6th, we elect Trump, first pro-crypto president, and the Trump pump began.
Wow, true.
So let's see if
Just
he's
getting
sticking.
started.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's sticking to what he's saying so far. So his first couple assignments: Elon Musk, the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge.
Doge, yeah.
We all know Doge. Elon Musk, instrumental in digitizing fiat for online commerce. So he's instrumental in that. He's one member of the Department of Government Efficiency. Then we have Vivek Ramaswamy, co-founder of Strive Management. They have $1.7 billion in assets they manage, and they have a focus of getting Bitcoin into mainstream investment portfolios. That's their whole focus.
Okay.
So the stage has been set, and there's been a couple other assignments that we'll speak to throughout the podcast. But if we just go with that, the stage is set. So tell me how you got exposed
To crypto.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Somewhat of a short but long story. So I have a buddy who I went to high school and middle
We
school.
got an hour and
with.
53 minutes. So
I know.
we're-
We got plenty of time. I know. So I've got this buddy. I won't give his full name, but March, right? Chinese guy, super smart. It was 2017, I believe. I was a junior, I believe, in college, and he was like, "Hey, like, you need to look at this." And he had his own fund. I guess just to start there, he had his own fund. They buy ETH. That's all they do, right? All they do is buy ETH. They don't buy Bitcoin. They don't do it. They just buy ETH. So he had
Which in 2017,
yeah, they were buying ETH when ETH was like $20.
Yeah.
So they're pretty big now. But back in the day, he was like, "Hey, you need to look at this." And I was like, "All right, it sounds dumb, but I'll check it out." Because the only time I'd heard Bitcoin was, people buying drugs or fake ID. I'm pretty sure.
Silk Road.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of my buddies
Yeah.
used it to buy a fake in high school. And that was like the only thing I'd heard about it. So he was all hyped about Ethereum. Bitcoin, I don't even remember what Bitcoin was at the time, but I was like, it's too much. So I buy Litecoin, which,
Oh man.
yeah, which at the time wasn't a bad choice at the time. At the time it was like $90. I ride it up to what is still its all-time high
Like
at
300 and something.
No, I think it touched like 400 something.
Yeah.
And then wrote it all. I didn't sell a penny, just wrote it all the way back down.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm done with that for now. But it sparked the interest, right? It got things going a little bit. And so that's kind of how I started. And then I just started buying. I didn't really know how to trade. I was on YouTube. I was like, all right, who's BitBoy? Who's Carl from the Moon? Who's Crypto? Like, these guys know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they got to.
These guys
They've
know.
got big channels, big followers. They're
these
dropping
guys
some alpha.
have a head on their shoulders.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow. Yeah. So I wasn't like on leverage doing all that or anything. I was just buying Bitcoin and ETH for a while. But ended up kind of formalizing my passion or love for crypto in 2020. And then we launched a fund in 2021, which basically was at the top, which was unfortunate. But
So before you launched the fund,
yeah.
before you launched the fund, you mentioned in the questionnaire we sent out that you have round trips and things.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And I know you and I, Liam, have spoke about some round trips.
Yep.
And if, for people who don't know what a round trip is, it's getting in low, getting in on time. Maybe not low, maybe midpoint with high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And the euphoria when you're at the peak, you're like, this shit ain't ever gonna go down.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna go
That's a
forever.
runaway train.
And,
Yeah.
And where is it? Elevator or stairs up, elevator
You
down.
just can't press the red button.
Yeah, no.
Especially as like a new investor, you're just like, oh, this thing, it just goes up. That's great. I'll just hang on to it.
You like
Right.
don't sell like when your portfolio is at like, let's say 10,000, you know, and then you're like, oh, it's going to keep going. And, you know, you get like 50% drawdown and you're like, oh, if it gets back up there, then I'll sell, you know, and you just keep riding
Just
it all
keep
the way
riding it down.
Yeah.
Eventually you get PTSD from that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I had
sure.
PTSD
Yeah,
from
absolutely.
Like,
For sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. And like even in the current conditions we're in, where I'm a strong advocate of just like, you know, find good, you know, large to mid cap plays and just sit on your hands, right? Like that has proven to work for the last 18 months, basically.
Yeah.
You know, like Andy, Wolf, all these other coins we talk about every day. But still, like the round trip PTSD is there, and like it's
real.
You gotta fight those
Yeah,
demons every day.
oh, yeah.
This shit is real.
Yeah.
My first round trip was with Clover Health when oddly enough, Vivek Ramaswamy
Yeah.
was the king of SPACs.
Mhm.
This is in the meme stock phase. And
yeah.
because in 17,
SPAC days.
yeah. In 17, I had already been mining. I had been an early miner of Bitcoin and mined Ethereum. And at this time, I'm sitting on my hands thinking everything else is shit. And that's why they call them shit coins. So I'm just going to hold these. And then the meme stock craze rolls around, right?
Mhm.
So I miss out on GameStop, just like the majority of people did. I don't know if you guys got in on GameStop when Robinhood and all that shit was going down the first time around.
I didn't really. I was more in crypto at that point. I was just like, oh, that's great. That's probably good for
I played
my
it.
bags.
Yeah.
I played it.
Yeah.
I played this.
Yeah.
I played the
Yeah.
SPACs. I was listening to Zach Morris and Roaring Kitty and I was playing the short squeeze, you know, and had a great short squeeze on Clover Health, which I think is going to be a play. And Will's Outlook would probably agree with me.
It's one of those.
So
Classic Will's Outlook.
I believe Will's Outlook will if he listens to this, he'll say, you know what? I think Clover Health is going to be something because Vec is tied to it, and they're starting to talk about doing some things with healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, does the chart look the way that he would need it to look?
I haven't spent any time looking at that chart because I've been looking at all of the charts that we like to
Because if
trade.
it's just doing this on the floor, he will buy it.
Yeah, he will. He will. Yeah.
So you've developed some PTSD round trip and some things, and you guys started your fund at the top. And tell me about that. Tell me about that, man. Because everybody wants to call you and get in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When shit's when it's overheated.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know?
When things are nice and shiny and
We were
everything's
talking
up.
about that the other day, Liam.
Yeah, we're starting to get there.
We were talking about that the other day. I'm like, every time somebody calls me and it's like, hey, dude, you need to help me. We need to set up a lunch. I need to get into what you're into.
I'm getting those texts from like
my family members,
Dude,
parents.
It never fails. We get a pullback. It never fails that we get a pullback in that instance. Now we know the overall of what our thesis is, and then we all have kind of a shared thesis. I would say. I mean, pretty much the entire Bitcoin community, I would say, shares in the same thesis. And I want to dig into the community and how it interacts and how it works. But Liam, tell me about how you got started into crypto.
Yes. So, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag, right? There was like always you hear about it for the first time or the second time. The first time I heard about it was like it's probably like a junior in high school, right? And you know, friends were dabbling in Silk Road and whatever, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how I heard about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember in 2017, I was sitting in my dentist's office and I was in the lobby, and you know, I'm just sitting there waiting for the dentist to come out, and I turn and look, and there's a Time magazine right there, and on the front cover is Bitcoin at like 17 or 20,000 at the time, and that was the high of the 2017 cycle.
Right.
And then that's kind of like when it first clicked in my head, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of something. Like, you don't just, you know, buy drugs with this or whatever. It's something, you know,
This is actually something
outrageously illegal,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then Tucker and I at one point, you know, we were roommates together in the house, and Tucker came downstairs at one point. He's like, oh, what have you been up to today? He's like, oh, I've just been like, you know, charting shit coins and you know, messing around with crypto. And I was like, oh, interesting. And we moved out, and then at some point we went and we grabbed some like lunch. I can't remember where it was.
I was screaming at him to buy.
Yeah,
ETH.
you know, we're like
Screaming
sitting there,
at him.
and he's like, you gotta fucking buy this shit, man. He's like,
$400.
he's like, you gotta.
Yeah.
And this was like 2020.
This is 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, and it was like, yeah, 400.
That's a good
and-
friend.
Yeah, it was a good friend.
It's a good
You know, he's a good
friend.
friend. I remember I was in the parking lot and downloaded Coinbase and headed home and kind of did some research and checked it out, and you know, bought one Ethereum at the time for 450, 480 bucks.
Mhm.
And from there kind of the passion started, and you know,
Now,
never stopped.
Have you developed any PTSD? Do you have any experiences? Because I think those are as important to share as our successes
Yeah.
that we're going to get into. But like going through that PTSD, you bring resilience to the table. You know, you have to be able to understand, okay, nothing goes forever, you know?
Yeah.
So is there anything you could share with us about it?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, you learn you got to pay the piper, and you know, pay your toll along the way and along your journey, and that's kind of like part of the process of, you know, developing and evolving as a market participant. And you know, some choose to stop there and, you know, not continue to push forward. And I think that if you're able to get over that hump, you know, over that, you know, kind of like roadblock in a way and get past it, I think that's really the determining factor of what is the difference between somebody that becomes, you know, completely obsessed and then somebody that just kind of remains like a passive investor,
Yeah.
or somebody that's just, you know, a casual participant.
Well, if you can get through like your first like pretty devastating loss,
Yeah.
like you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and you can like,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because a lot of people quit after they get
Mhm.
like just.
It just
taken
pissed
the
me
cleaners.
off.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Made me more hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like back in the day, like I bought ADA at like
Mhm.
like I don't even know, like 20,
Charles
20,
Hopkins.
20
20, 30
probably,
cents. And
Charles
yeah,
Hopkins, not a real charismatic guy, but man, he had us
Yeah.
all snowed into
Oh,
buying
yeah,
ADA.
me for
you know,
sure.
yeah, oh yeah, and then you know Ben
Oh, yeah.
Cohen, who's like, you know, the godfather of ADA, and you know, arguably the reason why I did so well is because of his following, and you know, he was on top of the mountain screaming that ADA is like the next best thing, and you know, into the cryptoverse, and he had his own, you know, pool, whatever on ADA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, rode that thing up to like what?
$3.
Yeah, $2.70, $2.70, $3,
Mhm.
and then yeah, I just rode it all the way back down, you know. And
Yeah.
same with like Matic. I very early to, you know, plethora of projects back in the day, but it's
Did anybody get exposed to Luna? Did they have the Luna
Mm,
trial?
I thankfully did not.
I did not either.
I did not. I'm glad I didn't have funds
I
on
don't know
FTX.
why. I really don't know why. Like looking back, I'm like, why
Yeah.
didn't I buy that? But
Yeah.
My buddy Donnie, who I speak to about all the time. I mean, he's Crypto Don Pock on on X.
yeah,
That guy's so early to everything.
really.
It's so early to everything, dude. Like he was a early Pepe guy. He was an early Luna guy. He round trip Luna,
Mhm.
6-figure round trip
Yeah.
on Luna, and early to Pepe, and has consistently been early to everything. But he's, you know, he was a Luna guy, and he's like, dude, when I woke up, I was in 6 figures, and I was like, holy shit, like this is unreal. This is gonna go forever. And he said, I rode the whole thing down, and
Oh,
was
yeah.
and I think with Luna, I wasn't exposed to Luna, but and I haven't looked at the chart of that drop.
Mm.
Was it relatively quick? Was it aggressive?
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was like a day.
It was bad.
It was like less than a day. It was like an hour or two. It just completely collapsed, and
yeah.
you had their stable depeg, and I mean it's hard when they offer 25% APY and
UST. Unrealistic APY.
I got burned on UST.
You did? Yeah.
Okay, so I never bought Luna, but I saw when the drop was happening, I saw UST went to like 70 cents. And it was still kind of up in the air what was going to happen with the whole situation.
Here, let's give context to what UST is, just for the
listeners.
Yeah.
But, UST is a stablecoin pegged to Luna, basically. And
stablecoin is?
It's an algorithmic stablecoin, first of all, which is a terrible idea. But a stable, it's like supposed to be $1, right?
Yeah.
So UST is supposed to be $1 all the time. It depegged, right, which means it like came off its peg. It went to 70 cents as Luna was going straight down. And I was like, oh, well, this thing's supposed to be $1, but they're selling
arbitrage.
They're selling it 30% off right now. I'm just gonna buy some.
Discounts.
Yeah, they're selling it at a discount. I was like, all right, I'll just arb this a little bit. So I bought a bunch at 70 cents. It comes back to like 95. I'm like, oh wow, like that's pretty.
But it's got to get to $1.
I was like, It comes back to 95. I was like, all right, like good trade, but like a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Unit bias.
I thought the situation was gonna resolve itself.
Everybody wants that target.
Yeah, and then it went to zero. And then it just boom, like oh man, that was not fun. I didn't sell any of it. Like I sold it at zero basically.
So when you we've all had those traumatic situations.
Yeah.
And so at what point did you start your fund? What point did that get going? And then we'll go into, how because Bitcoin, which in I'll say biased opinion, but really anybody that exposes themselves to because Bitcoin and the community and Discord, it is second to absolutely none. It has the most insightful people in the community and the most genuine people that operate with integrity. And that was what attracted me to the community. But tell me about how your fund grew into that.
Yeah. So in kind of the end of 2020, early 2021, two buddies of mine that I'd known since I was like 3 years old, basically, because we got to school together the whole time, hit me up. They were like, hey, I know you're into crypto. Do you want to like start this fund? And I was like, absolutely, for sure. And that was in like February, and we didn't really get the thing launched until like August, September, and the top was in November. So we had like
very small window.
We got the thing launched. It was long only, like had no access to derivatives, and at basically the top. So it was not a good situation. So we did great for a couple months, and then got slaughtered for like probably a year and a half, which was not fun. And like we didn't lose any investors or anything, because it was mostly just family and friends, and they were just like, here, crypto's hot, see what you can do. And none of them really were worried about returns or anything like that, but they were just kind of down to ride. And now they're all up now, they're all doing great now, but like
they're doing excellent now.
They're doing excellent now. They're doing excellent now. But so during that whole bear market though, I mean, we were making $0 a month. Like I was only surviving by trading, and it was a bear market. So it was like scalping on leverage.
Volatility.
Volatility wasn't there for you.
Volatility was dead.
Yeah.
And then that's when I found BB, right? Because I wasn't like an original founder of BB or anything like that.
Okay.
Right? Like it was Max and Tommy, and a few other guys, right, who started the thing. And I believe it was, it was like August of 2022 when they started doing YouTube stuff.
Which I'm going to go on the record. I have communicated with Max to come on the show, so hopefully awesome. we get him on here too, because it gives another side. And I kind of want to wait to get him on because he's alluded to the fact of that you guys don't even know the back end of what goes on in crypto. And one day I'll tell you. Yeah. And so hopefully and I know that you know this as well, but
I mean, I have a glimpse, but Max really has the insight. Cause I mean, it's really like kind of based on your followers.
Yeah.
At that point,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like I have like 5,000 followers, but that's not.
Yeah.
It's nothing, right? Like Max blew up. Max is at like 60,000, so he's got the glimpse into that. But yeah, you should get him on. You should get him on for sure.
So keep going. So
Yeah.
tell me how that relationship formed and.
I mean, I was like the meme. I was a community member, right? Like I really was. Like,
Yeah.
I started watching them 2022 on YouTube. It was like Max, Tommy, and a few other guys. I was like, all right, these guys know what they're talking about, because at the time all markets were down only, right? And they were all bearish, and I was like, all right, these guys get it. Like,
Yeah.
they're just buying puts, they're shorting the market. I was like, all right, these guys, they know what's going on, because that's what I was doing too, and I was like, okay, I can relate. So started watching them on YouTube, and then they made like a YouTube membership, and then they made the Discord. I joined pretty much immediately. But from like October, when I joined the Discord,
What was the fees for the Discord then?
like nothing. Like they had a YouTube membership that was like $20 a month.
There was a free Discord membership.
There was a free Discord membership.
It was
I think it was like
nightmare.
$50 a month or something. It was like
Some things you miss getting in on low, man.
Yeah, it was like nothing. And then I joined in October. We're shorting the market, we're doing whatever, and then in February, I'm still making zero money from the other fund because we're long only and the market's down only. Mm-hmm. So that does not compute. So February comes around, and my now wife this whole time is like, please get a job. Please get a job. Like, please just get a 9 to 5.
Magic internet money.
Yeah.
Honey, I'm in on magic internet money.
Like, you don't get it. You don't get it. Like, it's going to come back. Like, just classic stuff.
That like meme, like, let me short one more time.
Yeah. So February comes around, and I'm like, all right, like, we got to do something about like monthly income, because like this is not. I'm like trading to live, right? Which is not a good strategy. If anyone's thinking about it,
it's not a good strategy. It's almost damn near impossible, because at some point you're going to need stuff for from the grocery store, and you're like, gosh, I got to sell something I love. So I'm
like,
very convicted.
I gotta hit this margin trade to eat. I'm like, it wasn't like that.
From a psychological and emotional perspective, like separating those two is extremely difficult, because I mean, you are like, I need to make 5-10% this month, to be able to live. And so
it's no way to
it's
trade.
very, very difficult, and market conditions are always changing, and so
it was not fun. So then February comes around, I'm in the Discord. There's probably like, I don't know, like 50 gigachads or whatever in the Discord. What the paying members. And
for those who don't know, gigachad is one of those kind of things that is crypto.
It's a crypto.
It's a crypto term. Look it up. Yeah. Google it. You'll figure it out. Because I don't even know that I could provide the context for where it even came from.
Yeah, it's hard to. But so then I'm like, all right, Max came in the Discord, and he's like, hey, we need mods. And I was like, I was just like the first one. I was like, yeah, I'll be a mod. And he was like, all right, you win. You were first. So I become a Discord mod, and I do that for a few months, which is just funny. Like, I'm like scalping to like survive, and I'm like a Discord mod. And I'm like, this is like 2020, like the beginning of 23, I think. This is like a year. This is not that long ago.
Okay.
Right. Like,
all right. This is good.
Not that long ago.
This is good.
Because this was coming out of 2022. Yeah. So this was February 2023. And I was like, all right, we got to do something about this. Like, this is not. Yeah. Something's got to change here. So I'm like hitting up Max, and I'm like wanting to be on the team, right? Because I'm like, all right, I'm a mod. Like, what can I do? Because I saw him hire Will's Outlook as an analyst, and I was like, okay, like let me do what he's doing. Like, I'm just seeing they're like hiring analysts. I'm like, let me do that.
Yeah.
So I get on a Zoom call with Max, and that was like crazy. First of all, to like talk face to face for the first time was weird. But then we just kind of become buddies, and then slowly we get to like the end of April, and he's like, you can be an analyst, but like we're like, I can't pay you. Like, I can't pay you till like August, I think he says. And I'm like telling my wife at the time, I'm like, oh yeah, like, don't worry.
I got a job, but I don't get paid.
Yeah,
But it's a job.
I went from like
Sell that.
I went from like unpaid Discord mod to unpaid, and I'm like, yeah. So yeah, like beginning of May comes around. That's when I kind of came on full time, and the next thing that happened was like this trip to Miami, right, for Bitcoin Miami, which is like the end of May or maybe the beginning of May.
Which is a great time if any of the
Yeah,
listeners
which I'm
not been.
I'm going to be at Bitcoin Vegas. I know you're going. We're going to be. Let's not use the word shacking up together, but we're rooming together.
Together.
Yeah, we got a fucking suite at the Trump Hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, my aunt has a suite at the Trump
Yeah.
Hotel. So
So
why not?
I mean, it's going to be an excellent time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know what that means, though.
Yeah.
So
It'll be fun.
we all know what that means. We all know Tucker's probably going to be having a black Escalade and a new Rollie.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
See what the wife needs.
We'll see what the wife. No, honestly.
Exactly.
Exactly.
No,
I was
exactly.
gonna get to that,
Exactly.
actually.
I'm cool with acting poor.
Oh yeah, I don't.
I'm cool with it, and you know what? I don't need a whole lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think as crypto traders, investors, we're always like, I could go buy that, but I could make a percentage
It's
of my
still
money on
hard
it.
to
I could just put it
justify.
into this other project. And,
Yeah.
like make 200-300%.
Yeah.
Like
Why am I going to go?
Like the only
Yeah.
big things that I've bought from crypto have been like the Rolex, which was nice, and that was like a treat to myself because I hadn't bought myself anything in years,
Yeah.
right? And then I bought my wife a car, and that's really it, right? Because like I'm in the same mindset. I'm like,
Yeah,
this money is better spent in the market right now.
Oh yeah.
100%.
You
Yeah.
know,
So
yeah, this Miami trip.
tell me about that. Let's dive in.
I don't know. I mean, I've Zoom called with Max and I've seen the guys on YouTube, but like I've never met any of these guys. And so I get to Miami and it's like, and these are like old, I don't know. So one of the members had just left, right? I don't even know how much I should say about this one guy.
Yeah,
but-
we'll keep it.
You can keep it short.
yeah, he just he
No
left.
longer a member.
He left.
Yeah.
Yeah, an older
No longer
member
member.
left. So I get to Miami and it's like, Tommy, Max, Wabi, who I met for the first time. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Is Wabi
behemoth.
massive?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
form's like the size of my quad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's-
Wabi is a
yeah.
monster.
Dude, I always say,
Yeah.
like, when he comes in on the afternoon call, he comes in like the Kool-Aid
Yeah,
man.
he does.
Yeah.
He
Or
does.
just
Check, check, check.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's built like
yeah.
the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy works out like 6 times a week. Like,
Yeah.
he's like a power lifter.
Yeah.
So
Like squats like 500.
that was the
like,
first time I met
20
him. Was in the
times or
gym.
something,
We
like-
went to his gym because we were like, Wabi, like come to the house because he lives in Miami, right?
Okay.
And so we all get there and we're like at the house, and the house is the Airbnb. It's super nice, and we're like calling Wabi. We're like, Wabi, like come over. And he's like, oh, I'm at the gym. So we just go to the gym, and that was the first time we met him. And he's just a monster, yeah. But so let me think. So we do the whole Miami trip. We go to Bitcoin conference. We film some content because that's like what we were there to do. But I don't know. I mean, like, it was a few weeks after that, I guess, where Max was like, came to me. He came to a few guys, right? It wasn't just me and Tommy, but Tommy and I were the only ones that took him up on this offer, right? He's like, hey guys, like, we're not doing so hot financially speaking right now.
Mhm.
And he's like, if you guys want to like do this thing and become partners and business owners with me, like, that would be awesome, but like we need some cash. And Tommy and I were both like immediately like, here you go. Like,
Yeah.
let's fucking go. And that was the greatest decision I've ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, not ever, but like that was that was a big deal because at
Yeah.
the time, and I hadn't even really seen, and Max, I don't think you care if I said this, I hadn't really seen the finances then until after I had bought in.
Mhm.
And then he was like, all right, you've bought in, like, you're not an analyst anymore. Like you're gonna be the CFO. You're gonna get paid, whatever. So, what was I saying? So, yeah, I look at the finances after I buy in, and I was like, wow, we're losing 12 grand a month. This is great. So like we are like bleeding out right now.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, and nobody realized, but Max bought that he got that Airbnb in Miami as like a last hurrah. Like the Airbnb was like one of the nicest houses I've ever
It was
been
insane, by the way.
in. Yeah, it was unbelievable
Yeah.
house. And I was like, damn, like we really got it like that. Okay. And Max is like, no, like that was the last money we fucking had. I was like, oh.
Like just went and all put it all on red or black.
Yeah.
Oh, Max, no. Yeah. He was like, I just wanted to give the guys the last hurrah, but like now that we have a little cash infusion, new partners, like, let's go. And so we just started like getting on YouTube and doing the Discord calls every day is like, you know, like I have some buddies who are like electricians and like,
by the way, for the listeners, they do 3 calls a day.
yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of calls.
Yeah. Like I tell them like, all right, yeah, we do like Discord call, YouTube, do work in between there and the next Discord call. And then that's like my day. And like my buddies who like they run their own lawn and landscape company. They're like, what? Like that sounds easy as shit. Like I'm out here like grinding every day and you're on fucking, you know, you're on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Like we've been, because for so long, like right after Miami for like, I mean, until now really, but like it was just a grind. Cause there was one day where Tom Harvey, that's his Discord name. I hope I didn't dox him or anything, but Tom Harvey was the only guy in the Giga Chat call one day. Like for actually not even one day, probably for like a week. He was like the only Giga Chat in there. And yeah. Literally
few. I was there.
And now there's like, you know, 300-400 people in there per call sometimes. And I'm like, wow. Like,
I'm the first one in there every morning. Me and Pepe Dog. We're the first
Pepe
2 people.
Dog.
Yeah, we're in there every single morning, man.
Yeah. Like we have been. It was just such a grind. Like, and it sounds like funny to say, like what I just said, like, oh, you're just like sitting at home on YouTube shit, you know. But,
Well, I mean, and the reality of it is like, so I've been in communication with you guys for, well, shit, throughout pretty much the entire chop that we've been dealing with. We met through our favorite meme coin, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we met through Andy. Found out that we all lived in Kansas City. And then
I saw your banner. On X.
Oh,
yeah.
And I saw your banner and it was from Union Station.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of
Did
downtown.
you text me or
and I
me?
messaged you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, like, what's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Max made a comment when I posted the Andy meme with Andy Reid and Mahomes.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to holler at Big Hagrid.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And by the way, for all of our listeners, we're using names like Big Hagrid and Prometheus. My name is Maverick on in the Discord and on Twitter. This is an anonymous game that a lot of the crypto industries pay.
Just makes it easier.
It just makes it easier.
Yeah,
it's just easier.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about and I know that Prometheus and I can speak to this. And you as well, obviously, Tuck, but you're the guy, you know. You're no longer a mod in the Discord. You know, you're the guy that provides us with a lot of knowledge and insights, but the value of the BB community and what that's done for not only your investing, Tucker, but also yours, Liam. So whoever wants to start, let's kind of share with me the value that you guys find in it.
Yeah.
Good.
Sure. I mean, I started out, I remember Tucker's Fun Black Box. I'll start out with where my BB journey kind of began, where it
He
started
was
out.
our intern for a while.
Yeah.
Fun,
So I was an intern for Black Box, Tucker's fund, that he was talking about. And one morning I was like, hey, we should meet up at the office and, mess around with the charts and talk markets or whatever. And one morning, he's like, I'm in this group called Because Bitcoin, you should check it out. And I was like, okay, you know, like at that time, I think I was like scalping options or like something disgusting, like, you know, just something that I don't recommend anybody step into. But at that point I was, you know, hyper focused on options, and then you're managing the fund, and then also you're part of the Discord, and you're like, check it out. And so I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And, you know, I'd used Discord before, so, you know, just load up the Because Bitcoin Discord, and, you know, check it out as a free member for a while. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool and kind of crazy at the same time. And, you know, at that point, the Discord, Because Bitcoin was, there was a different dynamic and there was a different atmosphere about it at the time, right? Because Bitcoin now is, you know, very much best foot forward, professional stance. And, you know, back in the day, it was a doghouse, and, you know, just like get in there and it was like, you know, a forum back in the day, like the early 2000s, you just say whatever. And, you know, just in there, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, it's a fun group of guys to talk with, and, you know, I like their takes on the markets and whatever. And so as it went on, the free membership went away, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, like at that point, I was just doing it as like a chat room kind of, and, you know, then watching some of their stuff on YouTube, and then I was like, oh, you know, I'll become a member. And so, you know, paid member, and I think my name, I went from L's at the time to Trend Dog to, you know, and then Tucker was like, dude, you got to change your name. So then Prometheus, and just slowly became, you know, more accustomed to everybody in there, and, you know, building the relationships and building, you know, just, you know, time spent, and you start to get to know everybody, start to build relationships. And, you know, over time, just started to gain more and more and more value, you know, became more comfortable with asking questions and, you know, finding my way there, and kind of finding my spot. And over time, it just became kind of a no-brainer, where it's like, okay, now it's like I need to step it up, and, you know, now I'm going to pay for, you know, the morning calls and the afternoon calls, and be a GigaChad, you know, gold member, and you know, go for the highest tier membership, and went for it. And, you know, over time, just being able to get there and get that saturation of knowledge that these guys give, you know, every morning and night, just like really kind of stepped up my game. And then you start to learn things, and you start begging the question, you know, what about this? What about that? And researching and just diving into more and more and more, because I was very in like that niche sector within the markets of options, you know, and I never thought about day trading crypto. I never thought about trading crypto. I just had thought like, oh, like buy some like fun projects that some people on YouTube recommend, and, you know, call it a day and ride into the bull market and sunset. And so now it's like gotten to the point where, you know, so I'm a moderator Because of Bitcoin, and you know, we're in there, and it's a great time, and there's a wealth of knowledge. And that's the thing too, when you start to, as the Discord and starts to grow, it becomes this hive mind, right? It becomes this, there's like this buzz, you know, where people are bouncing ideas off each other, and you're able to really grow, and it becomes this compounding effect of knowledge and understanding within the markets. And as, you know, certain people grow and they share their knowledge, you know, then others grow alongside with them, which is a really cool thing, you know. And you see that in all sorts of facets, you know, with like sports teams and whatever, you know, when one person becomes better, so does the rest of the team, essentially. So
it's, you know, it's proximity. You know, if you're in close proximity to people who are striving for success, digging in, pressing in, trying to learn the intricacies of what's going on out there, you're more likely to succeed. You know, I mean, and the BB Discord is a community of like-minded individuals that are focused on success. You know, I mean, there's more to it than that, but, you know, that is one thing that is definitely present in the communities. And we had gone out and played golf together, interacted, and I still wasn't a gold member at the time, because the BB, the market check, there's even value in the free content. I mean, there's exponentially more value once you dig in day in and day out. But I mean, I was just craving more information. And just by listening to your guys' market check, and the free content that you guys provided with, you know, how to, the BB Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, that's not free. I went and bought it, but it's extremely affordable for people who are looking and interested in learning how to chart and trade.
Mm-hmm.
And it will get you to a place to where you feel confident.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a community that you're surrounded by. And because we all know these markets are volatile.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And what happens when volatility enters a market? That's when you inject emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a group of people to say, hey guys, these are signals that I see that say it's time to sell or it's time to buy, give you some peace of mind. There's more than one person looking at the same thing that you are from 50 different angles.
And what you mean too by inject emotion is not you want to become more emotional when volatility enters the market. It's that most people become emotional when
Absolutely.
that volatility, and you want to become less emotional. Yes. Yeah.
You need those outside opinions,
Yes.
you know what I mean? And that's why it doesn't, like, if it was just Max, it wouldn't work. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
I mean, he's great at, everything he does, but like, it wouldn't be what it is, right? If it was just one guy.
It's the team.
It's the team, but it's also like you guys and like everyone in the Discord. It's like
everybody together.
I mean, the amount of like, calls and plays that people in the Discord have given out that have 100x, 1000x.
Oh, it's insane.
It's a hive mind.
Yeah.
And we're not just, these are not fictitious numbers. There are calls out there for
yeah.
people who are listening
Yeah.
that
I could give you
100x.
like 20 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, it does happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of times people think of 10x, 20x, 100x, like that shit's not real,
Mm-hmm.
but it is real.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It is real if you're positioned and listening. Now, we all know that there's a channel in the BB Discord called The Trenches.
It's a nightmare.
It's
a
a
nightmare.
nightmare.
War zone.
It's a war zone, and if you make it out alive without at least getting a bullet wound, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure some people, and it's not meant to wreck people.
No.
But
No.
you're talking about the highest volatile plays.
Yeah.
You got to compartmentalize the Discord because then,
Yes.
you got to compartmentalize things. And that's why there's all the, separate channels within the Discord, because if you want to go certain avenues, then it's like here, rather than having one chat where everything is melted together and then it's hard to, see information and gather information. And,
And it's crazy to me because I asked both of you guys individually, should I join the Discord? What's the value? And I'm talking to the CFO of the company, and I'm asking him, should I join your Discord? And obviously the answer is join the Discord.
Give me that cash flow.
You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for discount codes out there, but and I got one. BB occasionally will put out a juicy Discord a discount code and hop on it when you can. But I mean, I'm talking to you guys, and you guys say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see how 7, 8, 10 different analysts, or let's see, we got Max, Chef Jackus.
Mm-hmm.
Is there Louis, Wabi, Will's Outlook, yourself,
Tommy?
So that's 6 or 7 of you guys.
Yeah.
And you trade differently.
Oh yeah, very, very different.
And that's what you guys said.
Yeah.
You get to learn how people trade. You get to define your style of trading, and it's only going to help you to have different looks. Because I remember during the 8 months of bull chop, that accumulation that was happening with Bitcoin, Jackus was bearish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was not.
No, and I wasn't the entire time. Both Jackus and Tommy called that August 5th drop pretty much to a T.
And I'm listening to them, and I'm like, gosh, damn it.
I know, and Max and I were both like, guys, what are we doing here, man?
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the value in because
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You're not going to get only perma bulls,
No.
and you're not going to get only perma bears.
Yeah.
You're going to get guys that communicate what they're seeing, whether people like it or not.
Yeah.
And I was on the market checks at that time, and Jack has remained relatively quiet during that time because I don't think he wanted to be like, fuck you guys, I told you so. You know what I'm saying?
But
But
that's the last thing you want to do to your buddies.
you know
Like,
what I'm saying?
You each take separate sides of the trade and then be like, yeah. Fuck you, bro.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough because like it's a zero-sum game. Like somebody's losing money.
Yeah.
Like in that scenario, at least on paper, like Max and I lost money. Tommy and Jack is, you know what I mean? So,
Lost money
on paper.
On
Yes.
paper,
Yeah,
but holding in the climate that we were in at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously everything has come back to
Oh my God,
yeah.
yeah.
But you're right. Here, if we only were listening and saying, you know what, I'm going to hedge myself a little bit and short this down, would we have had a great short position? I think Jackus gave several great entry points daily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Tommy, the king fudder of ETH, who is now, we all love to see it.
Now he's like,
we all love to see it.
Omega long ETH.
Yeah. The only thing he said that if ETH dips below 3,500, then it's going to wipe out his long again. He's probably going to wrap that up until after the first of the year. Understandable.
Yeah.
Because I think, with the trading competition that we had on that was currently going
Still
on.
going.
Yeah.
Still going.
Which I'm definitely not winning.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
I'm doing all right.
I'm definitely not winning.
I'm sure there's some people that just degen.
I don't even know how to check on it. Max knows how to check
like
on it.
50, 100x. Like,
yeah. I mean, I know that I'm not winning it because my exposure to leverage has really kind of my journey to that, thanks to Prometheus, has given me some insights. Has really just kind of begun. So I can leverage trade. But I'm still trying to figure that end of it out. I'm full transparent. That is probably the hardest part of the market.
Undoubtedly the hardest aspect of the market is actively trading. Actively trading.
And one thing I will say about Because Bitcoin is they don't only share the insights that they have, but they also respect other people out there who are doing things different. And we'll give a shout out to the composite trader, Lars.
Oh yeah.
He's a G. He's great.
Good. No, he's good.
Lars
he's good.
He's very good.
His educational stuff is spot on, and I think his charting is super clean.
Yeah.
And it's having that tool in your tool belt is going to be huge. But BB doesn't just say this is the only way you learn. Now, from what I can see, you guys share other people's way of charting too. And before we drill down into kind of the charting part, let's talk about for the retail investor who wants to get into crypto, understanding what kind of, we'll say narratives, but realistically what they are is categories.
Yeah.
Categories of cryptocurrency, and kind of let's talk maybe about L1s, what they are. Let's talk about gaming. We'll talk about maybe some RWA, and then we'll talk about our favorite topic, which is memes.
Of course.
So who wants to start kind of breaking down?
Break down what Ethereum is?
I could break down Ethereum. I think too, just for, the listeners that have no idea what crypto is, like what is crypto inherently? And there's multiple different facets and avenues and aspects you could go about explaining what that is, right? For people like Tucker and myself, right, it's a way to outperform traditional markets. So that inherently is what I want to focus on and discuss and explain, like what that is in crypto.
Yeah.
And
go with it.
And so the reason, like I said, the reason why we're in crypto, right, is to outperform the traditional markets. And I think that's why a lot of other participants enter the crypto market for the same reason, right? And there are, it's fascinating, today's how little today's dollar goes, and yeah, I mean, like, for instance, like, wrote down some stuff, like, over the last 4 years, apparel is up 12.3%, used cars up 17.4%, food up 23%, shelter, your house up 25%, food away from home 25%, electricity costs up 30%, gas utilities 30%, transportation 40%, oil and fuel 50%, auto insurance 60%. And those are your just that's like your basic necessities. That is just how you get by and live at the end of the day, right? And if those essential costs of those goods is increased by 25%, then you should be hoping or trying to find some way to offset those costs, right? And as you know, like, your traditional 9-to-5 job, you're not getting, over 4 years, you're probably not getting, a 25 to 30% pay increase over 4 years, right? You'd be
no shot.
Yeah, you'd be lucky to get like 5%,
Yeah.
and that's barely even covering inflation nowadays. And so it's how can I grow my money, and how can I position myself to where I am putting myself and the people around me in the best financial position possible moving forward. That's the most, I think, quintessential, and like what crypto is at its essence, right? It's to provide people a financial outlet to do something with their money to grow their wealth.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is why I choose crypto. And I think it's important to understand, like, if you have your basic cost of goods increasing by, that much, you need to be finding outlets in which you're growing your wealth and in which you're growing your money, because sure, you might get that 5% raise increase at the end of the day on your traditional 9-to-5. But if you really, run the numbers and run the stats, you're losing money every year.
Yeah.
And
well, like, look, like, as a young person too, it's
yes,
like, you get out of college, you're gonna make what, like, 80 grand a year, like, your first year,
depending on
like,
what you do.
That's like
yeah.
a good,
Yeah.
80, 90, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, all that goes up exponentially.
Absolutely.
All those numbers. It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna buy the S&P and beat inflation by 3%? Like,
well, what's fascinating too is like Bitcoin's compound annual growth rate at the lowest is 25% annually. That alone, at the lowest compound annual growth rate possible for Bitcoin, or that it's had over its lifespan, covers that increase in the cost of goods. And so it's a no-brainer. It's like, why would you not? And
what are our traditional portfolios? Your Roths, and
you're going to invest in like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Ford, GM.
And let's
S&P.
speak about the return that they get.
Yeah. So, I mean, your traditional markets, you're going to get anywhere from like 8 to 10%, 12% on the high end of the spectrum in a good market, and you might have certain years that outperform that, but from a historical perspective, after you remove inflation, you're making about anywhere from 8 to 10%. And that inherently is just gotten completely degraded by the current, fiscal policies and the current fiscal environments that, we're in the United States nowadays, where everything is inherently much, much more expensive. And most people feel that, you go to the grocery store and, your groceries are, 10% more than what they were last year. That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. And if you're just trying to if you're barely getting by on your salary and your salary is not covering that, you can't save. And if you can't save, then you can't position yourself to be in the best financial spot possible, for retirement, for, a kid's college fund, for a car, for all these things that my parents were able to save for. When my parents got out of college, they were able to afford, on your average salary right out of college, they were able to save, they're able to afford things, and they were able to also treat themselves at the end of the day with their money. And then on top of that, they're able to put things into retirement and put money into retirement, put money into their 401ks and their Roth and max them out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing nowadays where, if you have $60,000, $70,000 annual salary, life is pretty tough for you, especially for most families when you're paying for children and all that. And so that's what crypto is allowing for people to find some form of financial freedom, right? To take the stress off of, affording toys for your kids for Christmas, to be able to afford, a nice dinner with your wife, to be able to buy, just the basic necessities and still be able to get by, right? That's the beautiful thing about crypto. And that's why I'm positioned in it. I'm sure that's why Tucker's positioned. I'm sure that's why you're positioned in.
Yeah.
And it's to grow our wealth. It's to grow our financial, to remove the financial burden of today's current economic environment.
I mean, it's crazy to think that 10% of your net worth or your net investment worth, 10% of that can outperform the entire investment portfolio.
Yeah.
You can
It's
leverage
fascinating.
10% of your net worth and completely outperform by potentially 100 to 200% of your traditional investment portfolio.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you're not allocating, you're definitely underexposed to what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. And so with that being said, why am I in crypto? Why probably you guys are in crypto? That was, broad-based generic explanation, and why other people should be in crypto. Now, crypto inherently is kind of changing the game in the realm of what the financial markets are, and how we go about making transactions, how we make things more secure, how we, interact between, point A and point B. And so it covers a broad base of things. It's like crypto inherently is the new age internet. That's exactly what it is. And as the internet grows and grows and grows, you get more and more and more things built on it. And these things, perform different services or do different things to provide people with, services. And it covers a broad base of things, like I said, and inherently it's changing the game.
We're in the .com bubble.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe not bubble.
Well, if
quite
you believe in numerology, there's things repeat in 33-year cycles. I don't want to get too
The law
woo-woo
of
on you.
threes.
Yeah. So I mean, we that would put us right in the .com.
Yeah.
As soon as it started to boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's move on so people kind of have an understanding of what type of investments are out there, because we obviously know Bitcoin's store value, and we're going to talk about how that is probably going to be the United States reserve currency at some point. But let's talk about the other categories of cryptocurrency and the values in them. And if somebody's thinking, well, shit, what do I want to invest in here? In a sea of potential investments, where should I be looking? And what do these things even mean? So we could start off with L1s, move on to, to another category, and so on and so forth. And we'll kind of drill down to where we love to be at.
Yeah.
You got to drill down to get there.
Yeah.
So
you want to start with ETH, or you want to start with some layer ones?
Yeah. So L1s, layer ones. Bitcoin is technically a layer one. But like when we talk about layer ones, we're talking about like ETH, Sol, probably ones you heard of, Cardano, all those, right? So
is that XRP is a layer one too? Because
XRP,
everybody's calling and asking you about XRP right now.
Yeah, XRP, all those, right? So basically it just means like a foundational layer that you can transact upon, right? Blockchain, it's the same thing. So like how to go about this. So
essentially projects, the L1s are the blockchain.
yeah, the L1 is the blockchain, right? So you got the Solana blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain, Phantom blockchain, XRP ledger technically, but it's a blockchain.
And each L1 has the ability to be built on top of.
Yeah,
Correct.
you can build
Essentially.
layer twos, you can build decentralized applications, aka dApps, right? That's like what Uniswap is. We'll get to all that later. But yeah, you can build on top of them basically. So like take Ethereum, for example. People built Uniswap on top of Ethereum to where you can exchange tokens on the Ethereum blockchain using Uniswap, which is a decentralized application, right? So it gets a little in the weeds, but layer ones are the base layer, right? The foundation, and then you build up from there.
Okay, so and we'll let's cover a few other things. I know there's a a strong gaming narrative out there, and gaming tokens. There are a few YouTube personalities, we'll say, with Elio Trades and Alex Becker, who are probably the voice of the gaming movement, and I believe that their outlook for gaming is, we have your gaming, and you have your in-game, and in-game you're going to have a currency, and so transactions are going to now occur in-game, and they're actually going to have monetary values. Is that how you guys understand the gaming kind of narrative?
Yeah, and there's like the whole NFT aspect to it too, right?
Right.
Where you can, like the CS:GO skins are, NFTs, where you could actually own, like it would be like in Call of Duty if you could like own the gun that you just put together, basically. Right. That would be the equivalent.
And then have proof that you own it.
Yeah, and then have like virtual but digital proof that you own the thing. But in terms of gaming, it's not something I've been super into this cycle. Last cycle I was more, but like crypto gaming. A lot of it was like, let's create games, or let's force crypto into like a shitty game, right? Like games suck.
Games suck.
Games sucked. It was like the whole like play to earn, right?
Right.
Like if I play this game, then I get some, terrible token that's diluted constantly because I just print more of it to pay what, you know what I mean? Like it's like the worst economic model for the play to earn. So that was kind of a 2021 thing. I haven't seen a whole lot of that this cycle, but
early in 23, if you would have took Becker's and Elio Trade, if you'd have done very well.
Really?
And I actually was an early IMX guy, early Beam guy, and rode them up until February when they topped. And I got to a place to where I was like, okay, shit, they're speaking about three narratives, L1s, I know gaming. What is this meme thing, and how do I get involved in it? Because I feel like this is going to be huge. And I feel like this is where cryptocurrency is going. And with Elon buying Twitter, now known as X, Liam and I have talked about this. It's monetizing mindshare. And really, at the core, is giving back to, the social media was developed for an age of people who wanted to perform for one another. And that's when the influencers started getting paid, because now, okay, you're keeping people on our channel, you're providing content, whether it's shit or not, we're still going to pay you for it, because guess what? You've got people's mind share. Now, cryptocurrency and Twitter with memes, I feel like what Elon has done there is built up an opportunity for mindshare to be monetized and everybody to take part in it. And obviously those mind shares have more value or less value depending on where you're looking at. But let's dive into where probably we all feel is the most lucrative crypto movement that we've ever seen, which is memes. And let's kind of talk about, some of our favorite memes, why they're our favorite memes, how we arrived at how these things trade, so on and so forth. So
yeah, and when we talk memes too, we're not just talking like JPEG pictures, but tokenized forms of them on the blockchain and trading them on chain, and it's a good time.
So who wants to start?
Like what meme coins are?
Yeah, what are meme coins, and how do you decide which ones to invest in?
Yeah, I mean, you could take the like what are meme coins pretty deep, right? Because it's like tokenized community, tokenized mind share, like everything you talked about, right? But like it kind of started with Pepe, right? At least for me and for BB. Well, I guess it started with Doge, obviously, but
Doge is the king.
Yeah, Doge is the king. Like
we all know
the
that.
king, and like within that, within this cycle, Pepe is kind of the king.
Pepe is the clear king.
Yeah, Pepe is the king. And so Max caught this early, right? And okay, this is interesting timing.
I'll interrupt real quick. How I got over to you guys was through Crash, because I was an early Brett guy. And then they did Crash gave high praise to the charts that Max drew up. I caught their live stream and was like, I know what the, I know where to go now. But
so it was interesting timing with Pepe, because Pepe came out, like, if you remember, like a few minutes ago, I was telling you about how I got on a Zoom with Max, and then in April went to Miami, and then joined the team and all that. Pepe came out in April of 23, and just started tearing, right? And that was like going on this whole time. We were like going to Miami and doing all this stuff, and
which I would say is kind of the bear market.
And meanwhile, nothing was happening.
Nothing
in crypto.
Nothing was happening.
Nothing was.
It was
happening.
Poly 0x pushing Pepe.
Yeah, that, and then it got listed on Binance and Binance Futures or whatever, and then that was it. It was cooked for like 9 months after that.
Yeah,
basically until the next like January, February. But the whole time Max was making videos about it. Max was he was all over it. I didn't know that whole time, that 9 months after it had done its initial rip, and then it just kind of did nothing, right? I didn't know whether it was going to come back or not. And I did not play it well the first time. Like, I made a little bit of money on it, but like, I did not.
I G'd a pretty big bag at 300 million. I'm not going to lie to you.
I mean, there's stories like Tommy had the thing at 300K market cap.
Oh, shit.
Which, and Max had a bunch low too, and had to resubmit essentially to the chart. Which, like, you buy, you sell, you're like, all right, it's going to go higher. You buy it back. Right?
Yeah.
So, so during that 8-9 months, it was like doing nothing, and I was like, I don't know if this thing's gonna come back. And there were other things we were doing, like there was Ox at the time, right? RLB, Caspa,
Unibot,
the whole 2023 tokens, which really are doing nothing at this point. But,
no, down only.
Then Pepe, it's like ETH Denver in 2024, and the whole team is there pretty much. Well, it was me, Max, Tommy, Wabi. That might have been it. I don't think Ed was there. I don't think Louis wasn't on the team.
At Miami?
No, in Denver. This last February.
Ed was on the team.
No, Ed was on the team. I don't think he was there.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Louis wasn't on the team at that point.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, that's when Pepe started really sending, and we were like, "Oh shit! Like, it's time to pay attention again."
Yeah.
And Pepe and Brett had just come out, which I didn't. I mean, I bought some later on, but I didn't play the beginning of it at all.
Well, let's talk about where these memes even came from.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
so, the Boys Club.
The Boys Club.
The
Matt
Boys
Fury,
Club.
Cartoon artist. Pepe is probably one of the oldest 4chan memes. If not the oldest 4chan meme out there. And so Matt Fury was the artist. He drew the Boys Club. Pepe, Brett.
Which the Boys Club, it's a comic book.
Yeah.
It's a comic book series. And some guys online, took the feels good man Pepe picture and put it up online and went viral, and everybody uses it, everybody knows it, and that's kind of just blew up. And everybody loves it.
I mean, so you're in ETH Denver.
I'm in ETH Denver,
and
Pepe starts blowing up again. Max is already on board, but then I had to resubmit, get on board again. Maybe I owned a little bit, but I don't remember. But it starts ripping again. Brett, who's in the Boys Club, had just come out, and I mean that kind of sparked the rest of it, right? Because then after that, you had Andy, and then you had Wolf. I think in that order, which are just crazy stories, honestly. Like the way that they came about, and Max was just scrolling Deck Screener one night and found Andy, which was unbelievable. I was
talking to my buddy Donnie at the time, and I'm looking after I got in Brett, and I'm looking at I know Pepe is what Pepe is. Brett is doing well for me because I got in early. I'm saying, well, obviously there's a boys club narrative.
Yeah.
There's gonna be an Andy, and there's gonna be a Land Wolf.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, there's 100 different Andys on different chains, and there's like 100 different wolves, and they're like, oh no, the real one is on blast.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I own
Andy
2
on
of them.
base,
I
like,
own
the
2 of
other day,
them,
like, oh
and
my
was
gosh.
like, I don't know which one to own.
or there are a bunch on Soul too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Enter all Cabal
even
coins.
before, I think Brett had just happened and Pepe already existed, but Andy and Wolf didn't. And Will's outlook was like,
You talked about Land Wolf.
yeah, we
way
didn't really
before
know
everybody.
about the boys club. We just
Yeah.
knew like Pepe existed, and
Yeah.
then like Brett came out, and Will's outlook was like, guys, like there's this comic book, like there's gonna be a Land Wolf in it. We're like, what the hell are you talking
Yeah.
about? We're like, you're insane. Like, what are you talking about? And then like in March, Andy happened, and then in April, Wolf happened. And yeah, I mean,
Legendary.
So one of the videos that Max did that was, and I think this is a good topic to speak to when it comes to a method of trading. So Max did some pair trading and looked at the charts and how they looked like they were connected to one another, indirectly connected. They're obviously drawn together, but if the chart doesn't have a beta play, if Pepe doesn't have a beta play, and the pair trades don't look the way they do, is it still something that anyone even considers? And so when Max put that video out and showed the method of pair trading, it was like, to me, holy shit. These things actually are connected.
They actually are correlated. Because like people like ETH BTC is a pair that exists, like Sol ETH, Sol BTC. Like people pair traded that far, like they pair trade majors. But that was it. Like nobody
When as
had
far
really
as,
nobody had gone that far down the risk curve and pair traded memes before.
Yeah.
Right. And like it just works because I mean Max says it all the time, right? They're just like FX pairs, right? They're just FX pairs with a funny picture.
Visualization of liquidity,
They're just
money.
liquidity pools.
Yeah.
And explain that liquidity pools that trade together or against one another.
Yeah. So like, people will swing trade, which is just like, buy and sell. They'll trade Wolf against Andy, against Brett, against Pepe. They'll plot the Pepe chart divided by the Brett chart, right? And it'll do something. And if it's just oscillating or ranging, they'll sell Pepe into Brett at range highs, and then they'll do the opposite at range lows. So
Yeah.
But nobody had really charted that way before.
That was my first exposure to it. Now pretty much everything gets a once over to see if I can find a pair for it. I'm always looking for a tandem pair, because do we have 2 communities running in tandem together? Because obviously Andy and Land Wolf have been CTOs. And for those who don't know what CTOs are, is community takeovers. And so BB and Max took the leap of faith, because I remember on Market Check, you couldn't speak to a coin that had a certain market cap. It just wasn't on the radar. It wasn't spoke about. You guys were like, it was like a rule.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about this shit.
Yeah.
For one, we don't want to hurt our listeners
Yeah.
and get them into something that we don't believe in, which I, again,
You got to be
respect.
responsible. Like,
Yeah.
you have like some odd listeners, and if you mention something that's very small, niche micro cap, then I mean, you're gonna.
That's why the Trenches channel is such a nightmare, dude.
Yeah. Somebody,
such
because
a nightmare. Because like, dude, because the people they want like advice and help with the like shittiest of the shit coins, but like it's then you like feel bad telling them that it's just I don't know.
Well, I think people need to understand, like, when a coin is at such a low cap, the level of manipulation by not even a lot of money, and how that chart can be manipulated by just a very little sum of money is incredible.
Yeah, it's significant.
You know,
Right.
and people can make something look great and then build a narrative behind it and say you should invest in it, and they just wait.
Mm-hmm.
They just wait until start the KOLs if on X. And for those who don't know what KOLs, the key opinion leaders, start shilling it.
They get paid to talk about coins, which is insane.
Yeah,
right.
It's ridiculous.
Insane. Yeah.
It is insane, and that's the other thing I could appreciate about the BB team is they haven't accepted a buyout. They haven't sold out.
You know how many DMs and stuff? I mean, Max gets 10 times more than I do, but like people are, oh, talk about this coin, talk about them.
Yeah,
I don't even read them. I don't even open them. Yeah,
yeah.
It's a nightmare. Yeah,
People are probably dropping, trying to find your wallet so they could drop you stuff and pay you off just to even speak to it. And
I mean, Max's public wallet definitely gets airdropped all the time. Like, oh my god, I can't even imagine. But
so
what were we talking about?
We were pressing into the boys club and the evolution of the boys club and the future of the boys club.
Yeah. Yeah, because even back then, like when Max first started talking about all these different pairs and whatnot, I mean, I was even skeptical because you were asking like, what do you mean they're FX liquidity pools? And like I said, people will just trade them back and forth, right? They'll chart them against each other and they'll just trade them back and forth. So it's like if other people are doing that, you need to be doing it too, basically. I mean, so it's kind of nuance, right? Some people just like, oh, I'm an Andy Maxi, or oh, I'm a Wolf Maxi, and like hold one. Some people hold them all. Some people trade them all, right? It's just kind of whatever people want to do, but there's no denying the correlation and the data, right?
There's absolutely no denying it.
Yeah, there's no denying it. There's really no other like foursome on ETH that trades perfectly like that.
They trade perfectly together, and not only they trade perfectly together, but the team behind it sees value in it and will shove and buy the lows to help the project because they believe in it. Yeah. And we've all been exposed to Murad's thesis on the super cycle and cults and meme cults, and you could buy that or not. I could care less. But the reality of it is when you're attached to a meme coin, and I'm actually going to be, for anybody that's listening today, I'm actually jumping on a space with you, and I'll put the link in the description on Sunday, to have an Andy space to kind of speak about, kind of be up there to support Prometheus.
Now, and like,
Liahm.
I think too, like from a perspective of putting like just now, like put myself in the shoes of the listeners, right? And they're like, what are these guys like? What are they talking about? And I think it's important that we like build context around why we're talking about this and the importance of it, right?
Go for it.
And we had just mentioned L1s, and we talked about, there's multiple different facets of the sector, real world assets, L2s, all sorts of stuff, right? And then there's meme coins. And there is a reason why we trade the meme coins. And I think it's important that we clarify that reasoning. And the fact that we had mentioned KOLs and we had mentioned, but we've yet to mention VCs, venture capital firms. Yeah. And oftentimes what these venture capital firms do is the projects need to raise money. So they go out and they reach out to these venture capital firms, VCs, and they'll say, hey, we will give you said percent of the token supply or percent in the company essentially if you give us capital at said valuation. And so they give them this capital, and then these VCs essentially, they acquire large amounts of the supply of these projects. And what happens is when they launch, they usually have a vesting period, but they can also generate yield on the tokens themselves that they have. So they could generate, anywhere from, 5 to, I don't even know, like 40, 50% APY, right? And what happens is their supply that they were gifted for, the angel rounds or seed rounds or whatever it may be, that is locked and that is vested for anywhere from, generally speaking, 12 to 18 months. But the yield that they generate on those coins, they're essentially putting up the coins up as collateral, right? And then when they put them up as collateral, they said, okay, the project will then give them, coins on top of that as yield. And the vesting, those coins that they generate as yield are not vested. So they can essentially inherently dump that supply onto the market, creating constant sell pressure, right? And the issue with that is you're trying to essentially swim upstream, if you want to think about it that way, as like an analogy, if you look at that, right? And when price and the chart is trying to move up, right? There's a stream and this flow of liquidity that's always pushing against you. And that is inherently an issue too, because then once those coins become unvested, a lot of the times they just dump on you, right? They'll just start selling and selling and selling. And when you have a very large percentage of the supply being dumped on you from simple supply and demand metrics, it creates a whole lot of pressure on the demand to keep up with that. And so price will go down and down and down and down, and people lose their asses. But on the flip side of that, what you have is the meme coins, right? And that's why everybody loves the meme coins, because when they get launched, nobody, for the most part, for some parts, sometimes people get allocations, pre-sales and yada, yada. But what happens is these coins like Pepe, like Andy, they're fully diluted. Yeah. All the supply is on the market, right? Yeah. Nobody has large portions of supply from the very get-go that's willing to, dump on, on people later down the road.
Like Pepe was a great example.
Yeah, Pepe was a great example. When they created the coin, when they launched it onto Ethereum, they put all the supply out there. They put every single token to be in existence out there, and they said, let the organic nature of the markets do what it shall, do what it will. And that's the beautiful thing about these meme coins, that a lot of people have come to love this cycle, like Pepe, like Andy, like Wolf, like Brett, like a few other names, is there isn't these, these big players, the smart money, these people that are trying to take advantage of the average Joe, right, of your everyday investor. Mm-hmm. And that's why this cycle and this bull run in crypto, people have come to love the meme coins, right? Because they know that there's not somebody on the other end that's just natural, that's just going to take advantage of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's why we choose meme coins. It's because we know that it's a sum zero game, but it's more of a fair playing field.
Yeah, much more
of a fair playing field. And that's why everybody loves them. And that's what Murad talked about his video, Singapore 2049 at the conference there. And, he made it this great thing. And
did a great job explaining it. Yeah. I mean, it's a compelling, very compelling video.
Yeah. I thought he's right about the cult stuff, but he was just saying that, like, his bags were the cults. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, he just bought arguably tokens in these bags, and he's like, these are the best cults. Like, Andy's the best cult. Yeah. Like, Wolf is the best. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the Boys Club is the best.
And the thing is, too, about that is, like, he was showing his own bags. And at the same time, people, have been around the block who are in the, the trenches in that zone. We had been talking about that for, 8-9 months, but it just took somebody to get up there, speak eloquently and have a plethora of, viewers and listeners for then, like, the broader markets to really grasp that. When you have, people whispering down here that don't have, 100, 200,000 followers, the credibility isn't necessarily there as much. They don't get, the idea doesn't get, it doesn't reach a larger audience.
The word cult too. Like, Max was never saying, like, oh yeah, this is a cult. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the word cult, like, cut through to everybody when he said it at
which or whatever. It's crazy because, in my opinion, the word cult has a negative connotation. Yeah. But really what we're dealing with culture coins.
Yeah. Yes.
Fair launch culture coins. Yeah. Now let's not mislead, there are projects and bad actors out there that if you don't look at the wallet distribution, you will see some projects that still have lopsided wallet distribution. But the ones that we love, the ones that we know are going to perform, the ones that pair trade with Ethereum, when Ethereum makes its leg up, they are all directly tied to it, and the distribution of these coins are all fair.
Yeah.
And so for anyone to say, well, you're just building a project to take advantage of people, my entry was as fair as your entry.
Yeah.
As fair as your entry. You know, we all had equal opportunity to get in, and we all know that because Ethereum, they're all built on the Ethereum L1, that Ethereum goes up, and maybe we should dive into what a beta play even is. You know, we have Ethereum, which is your L1. People invest money into the L1, so now your money is being held on the Ethereum blockchain. If it's in Ethereum, fine, or if it's in a stable coin like USDT, which is tethered to the dollar, it's still sitting on the Ethereum blockchain. What happens to those profits when Ethereum starts going to 8, 12K? They trickle down into the premium beta. And what are we after? We're not only after outperformance in our individual portfolios of traditional finance, but we're also after outperformance of the L1. And we all know, just by charting them and looking at them, these things, if Ethereum goes up 300% or, does a 3X, what do you think the beta play is that's got a smaller market cap is going to do when Ethereum goes up 300%?
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's like,
like from a visualization perspective, I used this the other day on Spaces, and it's like, it's best to look at when we talk beta, right? When we talk beta, how do we understand what beta is? And when somebody says, when Ethereum does well, then these other plays do well. How does that work? How do we visualize that? And you could think of it as a giant lake, right? And there is a pool of liquidity, right? And as that liquidity starts to rise, or as that water level starts to rise, these beta plays are the more shallow places, on the edges of the lake. And as you start to see that liquidity rise and rise and rise in the lake or in Ethereum, and it starts to get deeper and deeper and deeper, then it starts to trickle out. And you start to see, these NFTs and memes and, ordinals and, runes and yada, yada, start to get more and more liquidity, because it's just a constant flow, right? And it's just it's a path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
Where does the water go? Where does the liquidity go? It goes to the places to which it can find the easiest spot to pull up, the next best spot.
That's
and
good.
so
That's good. I like that.
I'll even add to your point, and I'm going to speak about Pepe the frog. When he jumps in the pond, it's going to pull a little liquidity from your other projects, because his presence is big.
Yeah, it's not a small frog.
It's not a small frog.
Yeah.
This is a giant frog.
Yeah.
When it jumps in the pond, it's going to pull a little liquidity from your other projects. And if your project isn't strong, it could wreck your other project. Now, we know when you throw a rock in a pond, you throw something in a pond, what happens? Initially, water goes to it and then goes away from it. And so the liquidity is going to flow into the most aligned plays with that, with the frog.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and we've all seen it, Pepe runs. It takes a big leg up. What happens? Initially, our beta plays might lay stagnant. May even recede a little bit, but eventually it floods back into them, and the water just comes back into them. And so I think, to your point, that pond analogy is freaking great, because it just really helps you wrap your head around how the money is flowing from the L1 to the King meme fair launch to the other memes that are directly associated with it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And it gives you a roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to think too, so I'm just going off the pond analogy.
Yeah. It's a great analogy, guys.
It's raining. Right?
Hey,
It's
hey.
raining.
Yeah.
Literally raining.
Hold on a second. If we're gonna, and this might cost me, but if the word, Mega Demand is trademarked,
I'm gonna trademark that fucking pond.
we're gonna trademark the pond thing, okay? So we'll go with the collective trademark on that, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's raining, right? And that's what's raising. We just got to consider too when it stops raining, right?
And it goes
what happens,
down.
and it comes down. Where is that liquidity going to leave first?
Right.
Is those
Exactly.
tiny little bit because that's what happens eventually is the rain stops
And the water level goes
and
down.
the water
Yeah.
level comes down
And where does it recede first?
Yeah, it comes
To
from
the shallow spots.
from your metaverse, your
Yeah.
NFTs, like all
Yeah.
that shit from 2021.
Yeah, man.
And it's fascinating too, like for people that don't understand meme coins. Like I was at a Thanksgiving dinner, with my mom's side.
We all get pounded on holidays.
And and they're like,
How's your little crypto
what
thing?
yeah.
I mean, it was a good Thanksgiving this
Yeah,
year.
it was.
Yeah, it was great,
Damn it, if I didn't jeet that Pepe Long and I was on the phone with you, I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. This is going to possibly, if I just would have held it, it would have ran up to range tops and I would have done, but
I mean, it's
It
always
happens.
hindsight, it's always hindsight. But I mean, like, that's a funny thing, it's always hindsight. You could do the math and add it up, and that's the dangerous game of like, what if I would have done this?
yeah.
You make it to $1 billion pretty damn quick if you fully allocate it into the best plays along the way. But
Dude, I had a long on Pepe 75x before. This was in February before it literally 10x.
really,
Like at the no. This was in
see the guy in the Discord with the like 9,000%.
no, this was in May when it ran up originally. I mean, it was probably at like 50 mil market cap, and I was no spot, just giga long on
Oh,
perps,
man.
and like closed it way too fucking early.
Some guy in the Discord
Way
is like
too
up like
early.
9,500% on an XRP long
Dude,
right now.
I'm impressed
Man.
with those guys' ability
Just holding
to, like,
it.
hold the leverage positions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Because if I'm trading leverage, like I'm not one to like hold a leverage position.
I
for,
take
like,
my
weeks
position.
or
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to I want to get to my range high and then
Yeah.
I'm going to de-risk.
Yeah.
At that
Yeah.
point.
So real quick like back to the meme coins, it's really interesting when you talk to somebody who's not in crypto. And over Thanksgiving, I was at a dinner and family members know I'm a part of crypto, right? And so they are willing to discuss it. They're willing to bring it up, and they ask what are you in? What are you allocated to? Because they hear Bitcoin's at $100,000 and they want to be a part of it. And so it's really interesting when they're like, well, what gives, I tell them meme coin, I'm in meme coins. Why I would invest in meme coins. If you were to suggest anything, that would be my advice. It would be meme coins. And they're like, well, what gives meme coins value, right? And it's
What backs it?
yeah, what backs it,
Yeah.
like where's it?
Oh
I don't
my
actually
God.
physically own it. Well, it's the fascinating thing. I love it's like, well, what gives your baseball cards, football cards value? It's what somebody else is willing to pay.
Yeah.
And that is that's what I tell them every time. I'm like, it's what somebody else is willing to pay. What value do I find in it? I find the value in it as it being a chance for me,
Yeah.
to do
Absolutely.
something with my wealth, with my finances, with, whatever that may be. It gives me an opportunity, I can risk, 1% of my portfolio, and it gives me a chance to make, buy that if I get, to that point down the road of what I think is fair value.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the thing. It's all subjective, but at the end of the day, it's a culmination of average Joes, willing to get together and willing to, believe in something.
Yeah.
And you don't need anything more than that.
I'm not even going to front and say that I'm playing L1s right now, or I do have a gameplay that was called out by Tommy. that I'm playing. I gotta, but for the majority, full port memes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because I know
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly of what's to come.
Yeah.
It's going to provide generational wealth, and it's still providing generational entries. They're still out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's still multiples to be made. So we're not sitting here talking as like after the fact, like,
No,
hey,
not at all.
buy my bags.
No.
Not at all.
There is still opportunity on the horizon, and we have yet to even see Ethereum reach an all-time high. So we can only understand that once we've already once the L1 gets fully funded, reaches an all-time high and doubles, what's going to happen? We're not even there yet.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is coming out and going out to people at a time that there's still opportunity. And if they have the risk and appetite for risk, it's time to be buying.
Absolutely.
This is gonna age really well.
And
for like 6 months.
Exactly.
Like this time, like right
Mhm.
before Q1 of the post-halving year. Like this
Yes.
is gonna age so well.
And we held off on this, guys.
Yeah.
We held off on this because we wanted to make sure that when we did the podcast, that we weren't bringing out content that would harm my listeners who were interested.
Yeah, because when we were in that range, we were like, "What if it breaks down?" Like,
Exactly.
we can't-
Right.
At points, it didn't look great.
You know?
Yeah, that's for sure. And another thing too, on top of that point, from like a legitimization standpoint, you could be listening and be like, oh, but these are just, three guys. Well, what makes like to legitimize? How do we legitimize crypto? You have BlackRock, one of the largest asset managers in the world. They have like 13 or 14 trillion dollars under assets under management, more than most nations in the world, suggesting that everybody have 2% allocation to Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's what they said. They
Which
were like, we're gonna push this. They were like, 1% of our guys, of our clients have this, and we need to push it.
And so if like people are like, well, I won't. A lot of people will wait and wait for their financial advisor suggestions, or they'll wait for somebody down the road that is, more legitimate to say, here's the green light. There's your green light. The largest asset manager in the world just told you have 2% allocation.
And if 2% gets allocated,
do you have the numbers on that?
The numbers on that.
Yeah.
I've heard about $950,000 to $1 million of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Which is also going to make Bitcoin the number one asset out there. It's going to flip gold.
Yeah.
At that point.
I mean, it only makes sense, like I said, from the metrics earlier and the position it's allowing people to put themselves in, right?
Yeah.
There's no other asset in the world that you can make these outsized returns in. There's no other asset in the world that is giving you the opportunity to, fight against the current, economic environments at play. Like it just.
And our country is fully behind it. And I want to mention a few other things that from the political landscape that's happened. So we now have a White House AI crypto czar, David Sachs, former COO of PayPal, which again was the instrumental in digitizing the dollar. We know that Sachs and Elon obviously have a relationship.
Yeah.
We have Trump nominated Howard Lunick to be the Secretary of Commerce. He's the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald currently owns 5% stake of USDT, which is a fiat, bridges fiat into crypto. So, and maybe a lot of people don't know this. So Vivek's Strive Asset Management secured a $30 million Series B funding led by Lunick's Cantor Fitzgerald, earning them a board seat. So now you see that Lunick and Vivek are tied in business.
Yeah.
We've got Scott Bassett, who's been nominated for Treasury Secretary, and has endorsed Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. I'm pretty sure he was a fund manager for Soros. And then we have Paul Atkins, who's been nominated for SEC chair.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big one.
That's a big
That's
one.
the big one.
And
right there.
he co-chaired the Token Alliance and supports a balanced blockchain regulation. Just like you were saying the other day, the BlackRock came out and suggested
Huge.
a 2% allocation, and the Fed chair Jerome Powell called Bitcoin. He said it's not a competitor for the U.S. dollar. It's a competitor for gold.
Yep.
So these things are huge.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we are bringing.
It's undeniable.
We are bringing. Let's say it's some alpha in this podcast to people who are going to be listening. That this is a financial rebalancing, a financial revolution, finally reaching the point of where we've got institutional investment, legal institutional investment, and crypto policy coming down the pipeline.
Oh yeah.
This is huge.
I don't think people can ignore, the Thanksgiving, cool, Bitcoin's up, good for you. Like, you can't do that anymore.
No.
You cannot ignore and
People shouldn't be saying good for you. They should be saying, how can I buy?
Yeah. With the regulatory clarity.
Yeah.
Jackass talks about it all the time, actually.
Yeah.
He's like, regulatory clarity. Like, as soon as that happened, you saw what happened to XRP when they got clarity.
You saw what happened to gold when back in the 70s or 80s, they started, advising that everybody have a 5 or 10% allocation of gold in their portfolio.
Yeah.
Gold went from $1 trillion to 14, or not 14, but 10 trillion.
Yeah.
And so
a decade.
recently, I can't remember her name. She's a senator.
Cynthia Loomis. Maybe.
Cynthia Loomis. So
Wyoming.
yes,
Yeah.
Strategic.
The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and what that kind of looks like. So the Bitcoin program is Treasury buying 200K BTC per year, 200,000 Bitcoin per year for 5 years, 1 million Bitcoin total assets, holds for a maximum of 20 years.
Jesus Christ.
Wow, 20.
Yeah.
So they want to hold 1 million Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So they want to equal Satoshi's wallet.
Which
basically.
currently the United States is the leading holder of Bitcoin. We have 198,000 Bitcoin. China's behind us with 190.
In terms of governments.
Yes.
Governments,
Yes.
yes.
Not institutions.
Yes.
You know Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor. I mean, we're going to see how that story
What, 42
ends.
billion in convertibles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, they're going to leave voluntary state participation. They're going to leave that back to the state. They're going to the first $6 billion of Federal Reserve net earnings each year will go to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, and people are wondering, why am I? And this statement has been made. Why am I going to fund with my tax dollars a Strategic Bitcoin Reserve? And people are misinformed. The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is the United States selling off gold to buy the upcoming digital asset, the best store of value, digital gold,
Yeah.
Bitcoin. So I'm certain that we have a pro crypto agenda, and that at some level, this Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is going to be executed.
Yeah, and that's, them passively twapping 200,000 Bitcoin a year is not a joke.
And a hold for
It's
20
not a small
years.
amount of money.
Yeah, acquiring 1 million Bitcoin. Okay, so for people who don't know about crypto that are listening, there's 21 million Bitcoin, right? Not even all of them have been mined. So I don't even really want to get into the whole mining aspect. It's not even.
You don't have to. We can do a part 2
not
eventually.
all of them exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
a bunch of them do. But of that, I don't even know what the numbers are. Probably 5 million are just gone.
Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so there's probably, let's call it 15 million available
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
75% of the supply is actually available.
Is it only 75%?
by the time everything's mined, if you think about it, it'd be like based off of what's lost. And
so you think 15 mil right now or less?
I think right now a little over 15 probably.
All right, so let's just say 15 mil Bitcoin available. The government's going to buy a 1/15 of the supply.
They're going to own 25% at some point.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And you're going to have Michael Saylor ending up with another,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, Michael Saylor, what he said, he wants to end up with like 10% of the supply at some point, or like,
Dude. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's somewhat like, you guys, if the audience knows anything about like why Bitcoin exists and decentralization and all that, it somewhat defeats the purpose.
it more centralizes it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's way more centralized. Like if any of these guys ever sold it, it would be a nightmare.
But it's an opportunity.
In the meantime, like right now, it's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. And why sell? Because we all know that once an asset gets increasingly rare, they're not going to disrespectfully dump the asset they've spent time accumulating.
Yeah.
You know, why would they do that? It defeats the purpose. They don't want to tank the asset class because it's thriving. So there's no real motive for them to do that as far as I can see.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's probably a case somewhere out there of hey, you're just investing into thin air and it's going to go to zero. Yeah, you can say that all you want, but people have been saying that since the inception, since the genesis of Bitcoin, and it still has yet to happen. It continues to grow. So I think it's here to stay, and cryptocurrency is here to stay. We'll probably see some regulations coming down the pipeline, and I hope that they do, at some level, stop the people out there who are taking advantage of people who don't know anything about crypto and want to throw their money into it. I hope they do regulate that on some level. I hope they do put in some kind of regulation to keep people from getting wrecked on Sol, because we all know that Sol transacts so fast.
So bad.
I mean, it is just bad.
Yeah.
You know, your best plays are on Ethereum.
Yeah.
All of your beta plays, your best beta plays
There
are
have been
all
a
on
few on Sol, right? Like Fwog was a good one of mine on Sol. It was great.
Tried to long Fwog, didn't work out for me.
Yeah. No,
stopped out, buddy.
But like Fwog was one that I got from somebody like Dorito in the Discord. Like, he like, you know
Go
what I mean? Like,
from DK, like
like, and Goat was a great trade.
Go was
Fwog
insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
I could, and
that's when I sold it way too early too. I sold it like 100 mil. Like, and it went to $1 billion. You know, it's like,
I saw it at $1 million.
and we didn't even touch on AI memes.
At $1 million.
And I don't know that we even have time to touch on AI memes.
Yeah, AI memes is a whole
another
sector,
but before we wrap it up, I want to get both of your guys' take on the future of Because Bitcoin, and you know, just kind of give me a roundabout, you know, closing thoughts on crypto space, the future of your fund, future of Because Bitcoin, and how we all plan to interact and moving forward.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I'll leave Because Bitcoin up to you. But I mean, here moving forward, it's just, I think that from a realization perspective, it's kind of fascinating to be in this space I've been in the space for 4 years. Yeah, a little over 4 years, and be here for so long and kind of seeing, you know, everybody start to pile in, you know, and I think that if you don't have an allocation to Bitcoin at some point, it's extremely important that you get an allocation to Bitcoin, just for the reasons that I spoke on earlier. There's, you know, plethora of reasons why it's important, and the legitimization standpoint, it's just becoming more and more and more relevant as we move forward. And I'm super excited for the asset class. I'm super excited for us. I'm super excited for everybody that already has a bag. And I just like moving forward. I'm obsessed. You know, I'm obsessed with it.
I can't get out of the charts, bro.
I can't get enough of it. You know,
you guys probably get sick of text messages from me. You know, I know you. I pound you with text messages because every time I'm firing a question off of me, it don't matter. I'm like, I don't care if he's got a regular job or not. I'm sending them Discord calls. We're digging in, and which is great because you know, I feel like I have a family of guys, and that's something that's, you know, preached and through the because Bitcoin this is about family.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a part of the beautiful thing. It's like we'll jump on a call and we'll talk for an hour or two easy, and then it's like, oh, I need to go have dinner or something. It's like,
Yeah.
It's just awesome being able to be like part of, one tiny piece of kind of like that greater, the greater being almost. And, it's like, I learn from you just as you learn from me. And, you beg questions and it makes me, learn more and more and more and beg other questions. And I just can't get enough of it. It's like,
now we're pressing into Pine scripts, trying to develop an indicator.
Yeah. I'm like in Pine scripts, and I'm like trying to like code indicators and like build out some indicators. And it is what it is. And
it's great.
It's just, it's like I learned, like I said, I started with options and then I went into crypto and, you just learn more and more and more. And it's never ending. Like there's never a page that you can't turn, there's always something else that you could find to learn about. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
There's so many times I look back, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I like traded like that or thought like that.
Yeah.
And then that happens again every like 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's real. Yeah. But I mean, BB, keep growing. I mean, we, nothing super concrete, I guess, like grow the fund. The fund is a big focus at this point. Keep raising money. I mean, the fund's going great right now. But keep raising money, get more money in the fund. Eventually, we've thought about at some point, end of cycle, there will be some sort of rotation to be hit.
Yeah.
From crypto to probably some form of real estate. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but Max and I have been cooking up some stuff for the BB guys, for the Discord members that they're going to have access to for sure. So I can't really say a ton about that, but I mean, like we want our members here forever, right? Like we've like a bunch of guys, I've been there since I've been there, right? In 2022, right? And a bunch of people obviously joined. We had a huge influx of members in February, March, April when Pepe, Brett, Andy, Wolf started taking off. But like we want them here forever, right? Like we want them like we're homies with pretty much all of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I can't wait for Vegas.
Yeah, like that's gonna be awesome. And it's like
Vegas is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like me and everybody else on the team is like we're trying. Max says it all the time to do crypto differently, right? Because there are all the KOLs who like get paid to do stuff, and like we're not trying to do that. Like we are truly trying to do stuff differently, and like I think our members know that and they notice that. But
one thing that my brother always says, in and out of our podcast, and it's that control is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 100% illusion. The only thing you control is your attitude, your effort, and your response. Mm-hmm. And, in crypto, if we're going to relate that back to crypto, your attitude about how you look at your finances and how you look at a new asset class. What attitude do you approach to a new evolving asset class? The effort you put into learning that, which the BB community has given you a place to continuously put forth effort and learn and build and grow. Mm-hmm. And your response to volatility and when trades don't go right, because it does happen.
It happens all the time.
Oh, all the time.
Like we are not
all the time.
We are not perfect at all.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. Like I have made mistakes. Like we've the whole BB team, like the mods. We've all made mistakes in trading and volatility and everything. And I mean, we do our best, and that's really all we can do at the end of the day. And people notice that, right? People understand. Like
the markets are the best teacher.
The markets are the best teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
and the only way to learn and expedite your learning is to be around a solid group of people like the Because Bitcoin family, and learn through it. And this is my shill to my audience. Get out there. I'm going to provide the links in the description. Take a look at the Because Bitcoin guys. There's a lot of free information on charting. There's a lot of there's some paid, the BB Academy. Expose yourself to the asset class.
Mm-hmm.
And those of people that know us individually, if you feel comfortable, reach out, DM. I'm going to provide links for everybody's Twitter accounts. I'll provide links to the BB website. I'll provide links to the BB YouTube, where you can just dive into some of the free stuff that you guys offer. And it's really been a life-changing thing for me as far as my direction and how I invest. It's given me a whole nother lens to look through. And so I want to thank you guys for coming on, taking the time out of your day to, speak with me, speak with my audience. And hell, man, I'm looking forward to continuing to grow with you guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think we all have a Discord call here that's about ready to launch
in a
off.
sec. Yeah.
And end of the closing market, and there's maybe some thoughts on that. So we're all going to hop on that. But again, guys, thanks, and we'll probably have you back on once markets change up a little bit.
Celebratory once we
absolutely.
Everybody in the Discord makes a bunch of money. It's going to be
absolutely, and it's true. It's it's not only gonna happen, but it's happening.
It's already happened too for a lot of people. Yeah, and that's a cool thing, seeing people's lives change.
Well, that's the whole point. The whole point of the Discord is to help people, right? And like I said, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, but the broad strokes is we are here to help educate and help people, and that's the bottom line. I think people know that, but like you said, right, we will come back on here.
Oh yeah,
May, April.
Yeah,
that would be I think that would be a good time.
Well, yeah, that's a guarantee. May, April, and we'll talk more about
right at the top.
Yeah,
that might be.
hey,
we'll be the voice of reason.
Yeah, we'll be the voice of reason. Get out of this right now.
Take this opportunity, make some money.
Yeah, make some money. Yeah, pay yourself.
Yeah,
and run it. Let's run it back in August and September.
Yeah, I'll be shorting it on the way down.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Guys, that was excellent.